And I might not get to the finish line with you, but I will continue to strive to carve out my own space before passing this baton on to a new generation of runner, confident in victory because success, it runs in my race.
All right, now y'all, this story, I mean, it takes the cake. I don't know if you call this irony, if you call this holy crap, do you ever illustrate the point of why the Crown Act is a thing and why it's so necessary? I don't know exactly where we're going to go with naming this story. However, I know that a lot of y'all might have recently heard about the Texas teen that has been suspended not once, but twice now for wearing his locks to school in barrel rolls. You'll see the imagery that at no point does his hair technically violate the school's policy for young males. However, more importantly is the Crown Act that was just very recently passed in Texas. Well, it should be protecting this young student. Now, where's the irony in all of this? Where's the, oh my God, I can't even believe. Well, the reason why the Crown Act was passed in Texas, the thing that jolted all of this, it was the exact same school for the exact same reason not that long ago. So first what I'm going to do, y'all, is we're going to play the video of what happened before and then where we're at now with this school that is absolutely doubled down and absolutely is refusing to follow the Crown Act. It's amazing. It's amazing. Let's check this out. Wow.
Barbers Hill High School student DeAndre Arnold has always been a good student.
AB student. He has dual credit classes that he's taking. You know, he's not a problem.
But Arnold's mother, Sandy, says her son's hair has lately been a problem at the school and one that sent him to in-school suspension.
This is a part of who he is, our beliefs.
DeAndre's family is from Trinidad. He says a lot of the men in his culture grow their dreadlocks. These are pictures of some of his family members.
I really like that part of, Trinidadian culture. So, I really embrace that.
For years, his mother says he's had dreadlocks and always followed the school's dress code.
The dress code is off the shoulder.
Now, I gotta point this out, okay? We've already done a few stories about this. I remember this story when it came out not that long ago. However, if y'all remember, we did the story that in Africa, they were fighting for this exact same issue. And I gotta tell y'all something. For me, being a locked person, I can tell you, because maybe you don't know this, but to grow locks that long would take a very long time. And I don't mean comparably to someone who has their hair loose, natural, straight, whatever. I mean, if you think about it, right? My hair technically, when I started my locks 2 years ago, when I stretched it, it was about down to here. Right? So, and I haven't lost length. The thing is that the locking process just kind of sucks up a lot of the length that you're growing. So for him to have been growing his hair to the point where it's actually that long, that's crazy. He's basically been growing his hair that long, basically his whole life. As you can see, the men in his family, the imagery of the men in his family, they grow their hair. So this is not just a case of style and fashion purposes or, well, black people do it. This is actually, respected practice, not just in his culture, but within his family. And not only is that, but they are doing everything within their power to follow the rules of the school. Let's take a listen and you'll see what I mean when I say they're doing everything in their power to follow the rules. It's just not good enough because really what they're discriminating against is evidence of black hair care, black hair maintenance, black hair protective styling. It's what it is. Let's take a look.
Above the earlobes and out of the eyes.
DeAndre wears his hair just like this, in which he says is in compliance with the dress code. But after Christmas break and just 3 months before DeAndre's graduation, his mother says the district changed the dress code policy.
They say that, even though my hair is up and off of all the regulations, that if it was down, it would be out of dress code. Not that I'm out of dress code, but if I was to take it down, I'd be out of dress code, which doesn't make any sense.
Imagine.
You don't take it down.
I don't take it down in school.
DeAndre's mother says she's tried to reach out to board members and the superintendent in hopes of coming to a resolution, but hasn't gotten a response. She says her son isn't allowed back to school and can't walk in the upcoming graduation until his dreadlocks are cut.
Are you going to cut DeAndre's hair?
Absolutely not. This is
Imagine that they changed the school policy because the school policy did not actively discriminate against your locks specifically enough that it could not force him to cut his locks off. And they had to grin and bear it because naturally, of course, people who do not have this texture of hair, right, especially, again, locks, but who don't have type 4 hair, let's say, right, their hair grows downwards, right? And I mean, if you're talking about people with bone straight hair, definitely grows downwards. So if their hair was long, right, like it would be able to touch the top of their ears, no problem, right? Like, I mean, over like an inch and that's it. They'd be violating the policy. However, when you've got type 4 hair, well, our hair tends to grow out and up, right? Not down. So when you have these rules now, you're like, okay, well, you want to make sure that you're targeting the dreadlocked kid to force him to cut his hair to be in compliance, or you can suspend him, or you can expel him, whatever. This is ridiculous.
This is his belief. This is a part of who he is. This is his culture. This is what we believe. So absolutely not. I'm not going to cut his hair.
Inside Barbers Hill Independent School District Board meeting, there's a clear division on the issue of the dress code policy.
Isn't there
Without
always?
rules and regulations as we know them, we will face disorder.
But I also stand with the high expectation of our district in regard to dress code.
During public forum, members of Black Lives Matter turned their backs on speakers who were in support of the current and the controversial dress code policy. Barbers Hill High School student DeAndre Arnold was sent to in-school suspension and told he wouldn't walk during graduation unless his dreadlocks were cut short. All part of the district's revised policy that changed following Christmas break. DeAndre says his dreadlocks are part of his Trinidadian heritage.
You're in violation of the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
At Monday night's meeting, Arnold's family and several activists took to the podium to express their discontent with the district's current dress code policy.
Well, let's stop with the dress code. This is not about dress code. This is about policing black boys.
I won't stand for anybody
Facts.
bullying my child.
Thank you.
He has rights. All he wants to do is graduate.
Despite several attempts by the family to engage the board into a conversation, the board chose not to place the topic on the upcoming agendas for further discussion.
This is a public participation, not an action item dialogue.
All right. So this was 2020, okay? And we all know a lot of things happened in 2020. So the first article that, we just watched, that was January of 2020, okay? Well, then we have this movement, okay? This movement right here by DeAndre Arnold, okay? And what you can see there is that's May 27th of 2020. And in May 27th, the parents of 2 black teenagers, DeAndre Arnold being one of them, right, are suing the school district and others over what they describe as a discriminatory hair policy. The lawsuit was brought by DeAndre Arnold's mother, Sandy Arnold, and Caden Bradford's mother, Cindy Bradford, on behalf of their sons against the Barbers Hill Independent School District and its trustees and the superintendent and the deputy superintendent. Gotta cover all your bases. Okay. The principal and the assistant principals at Barber Hill High School, where the 2 teens were students until earlier this year, are also named as defendants. The school district has previously said in a statement that the high school permits dreadlocks, but does not allow any action that circumvents or violates the provision regarding hair length. Oh no, but that's not what happened. See, what had happened was, they had their locks just fine, didn't violate any policy, so they decided to change the policy to make their hair violate it. And honestly, that's still barely. We'll get to that in a second. Okay? It says here, the U.S. Constitution allows the school board the right to implement local community expectations, and Barbers Hill ISD's continual academic and extracurricular successes are a direct result of our community's high expectations, the statement said. Right? So I want you to recognize something that, again, they're justifying their discriminatory policy. Right? So because of this lawsuit, enter in the Texas Crown Act, which was signed by Greg Abbott, right? We're good to go. This was just enacted. And it was enacted because of what happened in 2020 with these two students in this lawsuit. That was the galvanizing force. So obviously at that point, right now, we have this Crown Act. It protects Black hair. Black hairstyles, Black protective hair. It protects people who are wearing their hair in a naturalized style. It protects them from being discriminated against, treated unfairly, kicked out of school, so on and so forth, just because of their hair, especially when they're doing everything in their power to follow the rules. So do we think Barbers Hill learned their lesson, y'all? Well, let's see.
Now at 5 o'clock, a mother and several local activists are now demanding answers from Barbers Hill High School after they say a student was wrongly punished for his hair. Now, this is the same school that made national headlines for the same thing just a few years ago. In this latest instance, the student's family says the school violated the new Crown Act, which bans race-based hair discrimination.
And I want y'all to see, so what you can see is this child used to have, like his sides were buzzed low, right? And then he's been growing the rest of the locks for longer. So you can see he's growing out the sides and the back. So the sides and the back, I technically would not violate the code because I wouldn't touch his collar or be longer. I don't understand the laws because it's like, okay, can't touch your collar or be longer than your earlobe. But if it touched, even if it didn't touch your collar, everything that, I don't know, whatever. Point is though, obviously what they're objecting to are the longer parts of his hair, which aren't that long, but that he is intentionally keeping in various styles. For example, his hair right here is in barrel rolls, right? So he's doing everything in his power as a Black young man to still honor his pride and his hair, okay? Because it's not just Black women that can love and respect and honor and cherish their hair, okay? So he's doing that, and he's also following the rules, especially because, as we know, Texas just passed the Crown Act. Because, again, right, and we just heard again, Barbers Hill already done did this. And we already went from the point where they're saying, no, you can't walk in graduation. Then, okay, you got these two students' parents and the students suing the school, right? And this brought about the Texas Crown Act being enacted. By the way, it's 24 states now that currently have some form of Crown Act protecting Black hair, and Black hairstyles. And for people who think, oh, you don't need all of that. It's 2023. We're in a post-racial society. Let's keep watching.
In Texas schools and workplaces. Our Sherman Chow is following this story. She joins us now here in the studio. Sherman.
Yeah, Ambia. The Crown Act says that school district dress codes cannot discriminate against protective hairstyles, including braids and locks, which are historically associated with race. So take a look. This is 17-year-old Darryl, a junior at Barbers Hill High School. His mom says the school put him in-school suspension, or ISS, for weeks because his hair, when unpinned, is longer than his eyebrows. She provided these images of what appeared to be disciplinary records reflecting that, and disruptive behavior like using profanity during ISS. Activists say punishing Black hair breeds white supremacy and that Darryl should not be suspended.
As long as the hair is...
What's wild, right, is that he got suspended, like an in-school suspension, 4 weeks. So not just suspended, in-school suspension. So you got to show up to school. And then they make him sit on a stool, so there's no back to it. So what they're trying to do is basically discomfort him into giving in and willingly cutting off his locks, which they know this policy is, they know they're violating the Crown Act now. They now know. They just don't care.
Not below the lobes, below the eyelids, hiding the eyes, on the nape of the neck, at the collar, he's fine. And it doesn't matter if he twists his locks up.
You may remember the Crown Act was born here in 2020 at Barbers Hill when former student DeAndre Arnold was suspended for his hair. This year, the bipartisan Crown Act was overwhelmingly passed into law. Activists say if Barbers Hill does not end Darryl's in-school suspension over his hair, they will ask the federal government to withhold its funding of the district. I did reach out to Barbers Hill for comment, but have not heard back. Guys?
Now, I want to make something really clear here. Okay? This young man is standing up for his rights, as he should. And this school is trying to do everything to stand in his face and make him back down. And it's disgusting. So he was suspended. He had his 1 week in-school suspension. Ended on a Friday. He came back to school on Monday with his locks still in his head. So we got yet another in-school suspension. So now we're talking about 2 in-school suspensions so far.
He's not getting a proper education. He's not getting a proper instruction.
Darresha George's 17-year-old son, Darryl, was suspended a second time after returning to class at his Mont Bellevue, Texas school in mid-September. She says the school suspended Darryl because his lock hairstyle violated the district dress code.
I'd like to go back to class and do what I need to do to get my education.
George says Darryl was suspended for the first time in the same week that the state's Crown Act went into effect.
Same week.
The law prohibits discrimination based on hair texture or style, such as locks and braids.
It is a part of who we are. I want them to change their policies. I want them to stop being discriminatory against black and brown kids. Not just mine, but any other black and brown kid.
The dress code for the Barbers Hill Independent School District states that, quote, male students' hair will not extend at any time below the eyebrows or below the earlobes. A district spokesperson told CNN affiliate KTRK that the hair length rule doesn't conflict with the Crown Act. When reached by CNN, David Bloom, the district's director of communications, said the district was, quote, unable to comment. The family's lawyer said Darryl and his mother have been asked to meet with school officials.
Which is ridiculous. And they think that, oh, well, we're not violating the Crown Act, but you are, because the Crown Act is protecting protective styles. So as long as his hair is in something which right now locks and a protective style, okay, and is not violating the rules given that, they don't have a leg to stand on. But they don't care. It's wow. It's amazing. Wow.
George told CNN she's considering legal action.
I'm trying to figure out how he's getting violated when y'all never seen his hair let down. How do y'all know it's below his eyebrows?
And y'all think we're in this post-racial society that these things are just unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Totally. Let me know what y'all think. Because to me, first of all, yes, his mom absolutely needs to sue. Okay? And if this school needs to lose funding, needs to lose money for them to learn this valuable rule and lesson, because you know what? They don't mind robbing our children of a good education. So maybe for a year, they need to rob everyone's children of a better education and have everyone's children lose out just a little bit. right? And then maybe the parents in that school who don't care that the discriminatory practices are hurting our children, maybe they'll be like, no, please, no discriminating against these kids, please, because, hey, listen, my kid needs all of these little frills. That's why I have them in this school. You know what I mean? Anyway, y'all let me know what you think. This is insane.
And I might not get to the finish line with you, but I will continue to strive to carve out my own space before passing this baton on to a new generation of runners, confident in victory because success, it runs in my race.